Patriarchy is new. This is the type of society where males hold the power to leadership, moral authority, and control of power. Here is the source of the exploitation of women, which can be found in antiquity, as Western civilization inherited the very last phase in the shifts of consciousness and concentration. Egyptian, or more specifically African concentration, dwindles over thousands upon thousands of years, from stellar orientation, or an emphasis on a higher consciousness, to lunar orientation, or an emphasis on the woman as the mother goddess, and finally a solar concentration, which was taken to another level by Europe. Seek out Russia, southern Russia to be in fact, 7,000 years BCE, where you'll find Kurgan, or Indo-European culture, of whom the Greeks evolved, featuring harsh attitudes towards women, including the belief that women weren't pure, and patrilineality. I think the primordial mother and the quote-unquote whore are one and the same, in the sense that they both can give birth to civilizations. On the grand scheme of things, attention isn't paid to these women the same as it wasn't paid to the mother goddess and her power, spiritually. In the African study of the cosmos, mythically, the moon and its source of the rebirth of life gives women their importance, spiritually and physically. Physically, the moon and that legacy is manifested in the womb in women. However, that's just the recognizing of the power and force of women to birth a civilization. This is not the same as the traditional European view. There are no busts or statues and few stories of their European counterparts. Is Gloria Steinem the Western Assata Shakur? Susan B. Anthony the Western Ida B. Wells, Harriet Tubman, or Fannie Lou Hamer? Is Sappho the Western Sister Soldier? No. In fact, African women fought alongside their men for freedom from the Western man, while Western women heroines fought the Western man for freedom. To go a step further, one could make the case that while feminism, suffrage, and even lesbianism may not exist regardless of the Western man's traditional attitude towards women, Sandra Bland would. Colder climactic conditions, such as growing through European ice ages for a couple millennia, led to the survivalist, aggressive attitudes toward the world and in general. From the Caucasus Pamir mountain range stems a psychosexual conflict, historically seen only in the men who evolved through a glacial environment. Western fashion could have one think that the Western man, due to a frozen origin, could be confused by reproduction and obsessed with sex difference. Parts of the body have been overemphasized, from the bust to the featuring of the hips in a dress, so wide that women can only pass through doors sideways at one time. From Minoan culture to Elizabeth in England, we see codpieces on men in display to show their prowess. And if sex is such a focus, and the thing that gives women the Western man's acknowledgement the most, even if it isn't as the moon, why not give it to him all the time? The overemphasis on sex exists till today, not only in pornography, but fashion ads, television and movies, music videos, especially in hip-hop and novels, as the mind of the Western man has grown to become the mind of most of the world. With that said, where do women stand today? From the rump shaking in videos to dry views on a music video on YouTube, to the woman at the front door of your favorite restaurant greeting you, the receptionists that take your information at your private doctor and seats you, to the strippers and thirst traps and boredom on Instagram posts. But what of the healers such as a Milana Snow, the jewelry designers and bassists, the cake bakers and utility bag makers, the Gwendolyn Brooks, Sonia Sanchez's, the Melissa Fords, the mothers. Women aren't important because they can do what men can do. They are important because they can do what men can't, and sometimes more. Are women not the moon? Special thanks to Michael Bradley, Mwalimu, Bomani, Baruti, and Wayne Chandler. Peace.